Hey, guess where I just came from? Wrong. The dentist. I came from the dentist. And my left side of my face, it feels like it's... I hate that. Like a swarm of bees entered my mouth and went rocky on the side of my mouth. You want to know what happened? Okay, this is what happened. Last Monday, my wife, who is such a nice wife, she was out and about, and while she was out, she saw one of my favorite little treats. And so she bought me one of those little tubes of, they're called bottle caps. Now I know we've got them in Canada, obviously. I'm not sure if you have them in the States. I think you have something like it. Anyways, I happen to, I'm fond of them to the point that I'll just devour them quite quickly. I'm terrible that way. Same with chocolate. Anyways, so she bought them for me, and I was sitting there watching the news, and one of my rear molar cracked, and a chunk of my tooth, I just stalled out there, what a nerd, a chunk of my molar actually busted off, and I kind of did the spit it out. So it was a week until I could get in, and I went in, and Dr. Binstead, who I've known for a fairly long time, my wife has known him forever, took care of it. And basically what happened today was there's a little bit of decay there, so he had to grind that out. And hello. And turns out that the decay actually made its way to the root. So he ended up doing a partial root canal and then putting a temporary filling. And then not next week, September 11th, I've got to go back and he's going to do the full meal deal on it. So I got to tell you though, because that was my first experience with the root canal, and I remember growing up and my mom having to go in for root canals, and I got the distinct impression that root canals were horrific. And I think probably in those days they were. Like, 30 years ago, I think a root canal was probably something that, a torture technique that was slightly modified to become an actual dental procedure. So I always remember my mom coming home from the dentist from a root canal, and her face was all swollen up, and she's all, and then for like a day and a half, it was all about the root canal. So when I heard him say today, oh yeah, we're gonna have to do a partial root canal, I'm just thinking, oh my, I don't want to do a root canal. And turns out it was actually not that bad. But you know what was weird? For those of you that have had a root canal, you'll know what I'm talking about. For those of you who have not had a root canal, they have these like little miniature files. Like they're like this big, and they have like a little handle. They look like a resistor, like an electronic resistor. So they have this like little small resistor for a handle, and then there's like this little helical cut file, and he shoves this thing up into your tooth and basically files out all of the pulpy goodness that was once in there. And he does it on both sides of your tooth, where your tooth has like the two little, or the four little toothy things that go up, the roots. I'm very technical, I know. And it was kind of I had one moment where I had like a brief sensation of pain, not much, just sort of like, oh, if this continues, I'm gonna have to like, but it didn't. And so really, for my first experience with a root canal, I'm gonna have to give it, experience-wise, a 10 being completely awesome and one being absolutely the most horrific thing I've ever done, I'd have to give it a solid, I'd say solid 8.5, just because, and now I have to go 8.5 because I have one of those mouths that at the best of times salivates just without even thinking about it, just and what makes it worse is when I start talking about like steak or Greek salad or lasagna, and then it just goes like crazy. But when I've got people's like hands in my mouth and instruments and picky, man, that thing just, I don't know if it's a self-defense mechanism. It's like, just flood it out, flood them out. And so I have to always give the technician that's helping the dentist, I have to say, hey, you know, feel free to go crazy with the vacuum, because there's nothing worse than sitting in the dentist chair and your mouth is filling up with so much, like I always use my tongue as like the dam. Like there's no way I'm letting that stuff slide down my throat. So my tongue is like just wedged to the back of my mouth, and it starts to fill up with, you know, saliva and little chips of tooth and all that stuff. So I like a technician that just gets in there and gets it done, you know, just underneath the tongue, sucks it all up, and you know, really good suction. So today's technician was good. I think her name was Courtney. So I know Courtney's not watching this, but if it ever gets back to Courtney, you can let her know that I approve of her technical skills in the dentistry world. Nothing worse. I mean, I've had technicians that just like the old style hook, the hook one, and they just stick it. They stick it in the front of your mouth, like right where your front teeth are. They just hang it over there, and it sits there through the whole thing going, you know, not really doing anything. So I don't know who taught those people, but to me it seems self-evident that when your head is backwards, the lowest part of your body in the chair, that all of the saliva, or as I like to call it, spit, falls back to the lowest portion of your mouth and pools there. And so when that little hooky thing is just, yeah, it's making noise, but it's not doing anything. So I made a very bold move actually back in my early 20s, because I think I was sort of conditioned, you know, like, you know, kind of, the dentist is the dentist, you know, don't, you know, just do what he says, even if it's uncomfortable. Anyways, back in that day, back in my early 20s, I actually physically reached up, took the vacuum from the front of my mouth, and proceeded to vacuum out my mouth. And I think I took the technician off, you know, guard a little bit. She was an older woman. I think she was one of those old school, oh, it doesn't hurt that much kind of women. But yeah, it was a good moment for me. So now I'm not shy about that sort of thing. Like, if you're not going to vacuum my face out, then I'm going to vacuum my face out. You just have to do it. So like I said, 8.5, and the other 1.5, I have to just give that to the fact that I just don't like having people's, you know, hands in my mouth. So I can't say it was like just awesome, it was the best experience I've had all day. So that's why the 8.5. It doesn't reflect on the skills or the procedure itself. 8.5, I'd say, would be a very high mark for me, for what I thought a root canal would be. 8.5, I think, is extremely high. Until they come to the day where they have like little nanobots they just dump into your mouth, and they go in there, and while you sit there with your mouth closed, they just, you know, do their thing while you're watching TV, and then the doctor comes back and then checks your mouth. Those are the days where I'll be able to say, yeah, you know what, that was a solid 9.7, bordering on 10, but I don't see that happening in the near future. Anyways, hey, thanks for listening to me. I appreciate it. You know, and you're probably, chances are, you are a new subscriber. And I just want to let you know that I appreciate you subbing up the channel and coming along for the ride. We're going to try to get out to the dirt here pretty quick. I've got kind of a full schedule, but a got some things planned and hope to take you along. So thanks for riding with me. Miss Yamimoto, she's feeling, there's something wrong with Miss Yamimoto. I haven't been able to find it. You listen to my last couple videos, you're gonna hear this little ting 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 ting, and it's intermittent. It doesn't go constantly, and I don't know what it is. It sounds like little rocks bouncing off my header, but that's not what it is, but that's what it sounds like, that little ting 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 ting. So if you do hear that and you have an idea what it is, by all means just make a comment below and I will try that. But I've been trying to, oh yeah, I can sort of hear it now. It's like a little ta-da-tang, ta-da-tang. Oh, you'll probably hear it when I stop up here. Let's go. Can you hear it now? It sort of sounds like Morse code with a mini cowbell. Anyways, we'll talk about that in the future. Thanks for riding with me, guys. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Now I can really hear it. It's like a rattle. Sounds like money to me.